King Aerys II is quite arguably the worst monarch in the Targaryen dynasty, but did you know there was a time where he wasn't so mad? This is the life and death of the Mad King. Aerys was born to Prince Jaehaerys, the second son of King Aegon V and his sister wife, Princess Shiera. As a teenager, he was married to his sister Rhaella Targaryen, arranged by his father because of a prophecy made by a woods witch, which implied that the prince that was promised would be born from the line of Aerys and Rhaella. If you want to see more about the prince that was promised and Azor Ahai, click on the link in the top right hand corner of your screen to watch afterwards. According to Sir Barristan Selmy, the siblings had no love for each other. Throughout his youth, he befriended Tywin Lannister and Steffon Baratheon, the heir to Storm's End. In 259 AC, Rhaella gave birth to his first child, Prince Rhaegar, during the tragedy of Summerhall, a great fire allegedly caused by King Aegon V trying to bring dragons back to the world. Both King Aegon and his firstborn son, Duncan Targaryen, were killed in the fire, meaning Aerys' father was named Jaehaerys II of the Iron Throne, with Aerys as his heir. During the War of the Ninepenny Kings, Aerys served as a squire, and it was during the fighting on the Stepstones where he received his knighthood from his good friend Tywin Lannister. Aerys ascended the throne in 262 AC after his father died from illnesses and was named King Aerys II. His early reign showed great promise, replacing his court with much younger, more suited men, including Tywin as his hand of the king. He wished to be the greatest king in the history of the Seven Kingdoms, with many grand plans, none of which got carried out though. Despite this, Westeros prospered under his rule, mainly thanks to Tywin. The relationship between Aerys and Tywin deteriorated over time though, first due to the rumours of a relationship between Aerys and Tywin's wife, Joanna Lannister, during the early days of his reign. His relationship with his wife Rhaella also deteriorated after she had 2 miscarriages and a son dying within a year. Aerys grew suspicious and confined her to Maegor's Holdfast, and ordered scepters to sleep beside her to ensure she stayed faithful. Whilst before Aerys employed Tywin's counsel, he now often disagreed with him and did the opposite instead. In 276 AC, his wife gave birth to another son, Viserys, who was protected day and night solely by his Kingsguard, in paranoia of him dying like the others. Although his descent into madness had begun, he truly went mad during the Defiance of Duskendale, when Lord Denys Darklyn imprisoned Aerys for half a year after having an offer refused by Lord Tywin. It fell to Tywin to resolve it, who massed an army at Duskendale and besieged the castle, but they sat in a stalemate for 6 months. In the end, Sir Barristan Selmy managed to rescue the king after staging a risky infiltration. Aerys' vengeance was destructive, resulting in the execution of the entirety of House Darklyn and Hollard, except for a young Dontos Hollard, who eventually would grow up to be a fool for Joffrey Baratheon. Afterwards, Aerys refused to leave the Red Keep for the next 4 years, his jealousy and suspicious nature deepening his paranoia and delusions, seeing enemies everywhere. Aerys believed that Tywin and Rhaegar Targaryen had conspired to have him killed at Duskendale, so the young prince may ascend the Iron Throne and marry Tywin's daughter, Cersei Lannister. So he employed his friend Lord Steffon Baratheon to go to Volantis to find a bride of Valyrian blood for Rhaegar. However, on his way back, his ship sank under the waves of Storm End, killing the Lord of the Stormlands in sight of his 2 eldest children, Robert and Stannis Baratheon. Instead, he married Rhaegar to Princess Elia Martell of Dorne. Aerys grew more brutal and hysterical, building a fascination with wildfire, using it to execute alleged traitors which he saw everywhere. Pyromancers became ever more present in his court. He also heard words of the talents of a certain bold eunuch named Varys, whom he brought to court and named to his small council as Master of Whisperers, and since was always whispering secrets into the king's ear. The year of the false spring was ultimately the start of the demise for King Aerys. When Sir Harlan Grandison of the Kingsguard died in his sleep, Aerys appointed Sir Jaime Lannister to the Kingsguard, not as an honour, but as a slight, removing Tywin's heir from inheriting Casterly Rock and stopping Tywin's attempts to marry Jaime to Lysa Tully. Soon after, Tywin resigned as Hand of the King, which Aerys accepted happily. When Lord Walter Went announced a great tourney at Harrenhal, many believed it to be a front for Prince Rhaegar to speak to the High Lords of the realm to try and remove his father as King of the Iron Throne. In his fear, Aerys decided to leave the Red Keep for the first time in years to try and stop the rebellious talks and to also try and win back the love of his people. This of course backfired horribly, since he had not taken care of his appearance since the defiance of Duskendale. His hair and beard were unwashed and tangled, his nails were yellow and 9 inches in length, and his fear of being poisoned had made him thin and gaunt. The lords of the realm were appalled at what he had become. The next year, in 282 AC, when Prince Rhaegar disappeared with Lyanna Stark, apparently kidnapping her, Brandon Stark, Lyanna's older brother, rode to King's Landing demanding justice for his sister. Aerys ordered him to be arrested on charges of conspiring against the life of the Crown Prince, demanding that his father would present himself at court. When Lord Rickard Stark did so, he was arrested. When he demanded a trial by combat, Aerys chose fire as his champion, and so Rickard was burnt alive in the throne room by wildfire, as Brandon was forced to watch, strapped to a device that led him to strangle himself in his attempts to save his father. His paranoia also led him to order Lord Jon Arryn to send him the heads of Lyanna's other brother, Ned Stark, and betrothed Robert Baratheon. Jon refused, and instead the Vale, the North, Stormlands and the Riverlands rose in revolt. I don't have time to cover Robert's rebellion entirely, so instead I'll skip forward to the sack of King's Landing. 12 hours before Ned Stark's rebel host would arrive at King's Landing, 12,000 Lannister men under Tywin Lannister reached the gates first and pledged their loyalty to the king. Lord Varys advised the king to not let them into the city, but Grand Maester Pycelle argued that Tywin had come to help Aerys. The king decided to listen to Pycelle and made the decision to open the gates. The Lannister forces then began the sack of King's Landing. Aerys then summoned Sir Jaime Lannister and commanded him to kill his father, and then gave his pyromancer the order to ignite the caches of wildfire and burn the city to the ground. It was here that Jaime killed the pyromancer and then turned to Aerys, pulling him off the steps of the Iron Throne and then slitting his throat, ending the reign of the Mad King Aerys II Targaryen. His last words had been what he had been muttering for hours: "Burn them all."